What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. Today I'm going to be looking at the heroes from the Heroes Light and Dark banner, which includes female and male Kris, Julian, Lena, and also Eremiya as a grantor of battle unit. I'm going to be covering her as well in this video. You could find the timestamps in the description right below that like button and also on your screen. I want to thank ShailorMercury as always for the layout, and with that said, let us begin. Female Kris is a pretty unique unit because she's a lance infantry unit. We don't really have too many of those, and her main competition is going to be Apotheosis Ana, who was released recently. I think female Kris wins this in my personal opinion, mainly because of her weapon. So Apotheosis Spear gives Ana +3 speed and also +5 attack and speed, and she can also have some movement utility. But female Kris's weapon gives her -1 special cooldown, which I value a lot more, and she just ignores any kind of debuffs on herself. And that is just really useful in this kind of metagame where sabotage skills, shrine structures, chill skills are just so common. So ignoring any kind of penalties is going to be really amazing. And stat spread wise, they are pretty similar. Ana does have a bit more resistance, but at the end of the day, female Kris can also get just as bulky because she actually gets -5 attack debuff on the foe with her weapon. Ana just gets +5 attack and speed, and she's not really helped by her weapon when it comes to her bulk. So that's why female Kris, in my opinion, kind of wins this, and she doesn't really have any kind of other competition, to be fair. So she's in a really unique position, and that's why she's a pretty good unit. Spear of Shadow just is a very good weapon, as I said before, because debuffs are present everywhere. Her stat spread is pretty balanced. She does have really good offenses, and she also has a super boon and speed, which goes really well with Spurn, and she also has balanced bulk. She does have Spurn as a new line of skill, so this is basically a mini Wrath along with damage reduction. It is mini Wrath because it doesn't really give you -1 special cooldown, and it doesn't give you 10 true damage, it only gives you 5 true damage. So that's why it's mini Wrath, and the damage reduction is really good on a very fast unit like her. Even at low merges, she can make a fantastic use of this kind of skill and be deceptively bulky despite not having very high defensive stats. And she does have that blazing high speed to make full use of this. So as we have received a lot of sword infantry units who have this kind of stat line where they're really fast, female Kris is basically the lance version of that, and that's pretty good because we haven't really got too many of these, so this is still pretty new. As for her builds, you could just run a budget build on her. I believe that running Moonbow is a bit counterintuitive with her weapon because her weapon reduces defense of the foe during the combat, and Moonbow works on the defense of the foe, so that's why I think that Glimmer can be another option, which is pretty good as a 1-turn cooldown special. She does have Rouse skill, so it can synergize really well with the speed rest solo that we have recently got, and this again helps her reach high amounts of speed to make full use of her Spurn skill. You could also run Brazen Attack Defense with Fury because it does have that synergy. Bonfire is a 2-turn cooldown special with her weapon, and of course you could run Distant Counter on her. Even at low merges, she's going to be pretty bulky with this, and as you can see, she can get pretty fast to make full use of Spurn as well as Flashing Blade along with Ether. Now you could also use a skill like Attack Defense Solo and Speed Rest Solo Sacred Seal to basically give her +6 to all of her stats with these solo skills. And again, it does synergize with her default Rouse skill, and this can just overall give her a lot of stats, which is definitely something a unit like her appreciates. You can also use her in Ether Raid's offense as a super tank, where she can run Distant Counter and have Pulse Smoke. You could run Attack Smoke on budget, and basically it's easier to do this in the light season because you could speed stack with Peony, and you don't have to phase through Seers unlike the Astra season, so that's why light season is much more preferable for her. And finally, you could also build her as a Gale Force unit. As I said, -1 special cooldown is something which I really value out of her weapon compared to Ana, and this is one of the reasons why it's so good, because you could also make her into a Gale Force unit. Gale Force becomes a 4-turn cooldown special, so you could always run this, and she does have really high speed, but she's not going to be caring about shield speed whatsoever because of her weapon, as she can just ignore those debuffs, so that makes her a nice Gale Force unit to be used in Ether Raids. Male Kris has got literally the same weapon and same stat spread as female Kris, and he is what you would expect out of a 2020 sword infantry unit, just high speed, very good weapon, and a damage reduction skill. So he has got all of those things, and he is basically a carbon copy of Larcey when it comes to stats. However, both of these are like covering different roles. Male Kris can ignore debuffs with his weapon, and Larcey can ignore the buffs of the foe with her weapon. the more apt comparison to him is going to be Shannon, because both of their weapons function in the same way, where they ignore the debuffs of the foe. Now I would say that Blade of Shadow is definitely better than Balmung, because Balmung only gives Shannon +3 speed, and it's easy to stack up speed, but it's hard to get something like -1 special cooldown permanently on your unit. So that's why I think that Blade of Shadow is a bit better. And Male Kris overall appears to be more balanced unit. Shannon has got ridiculously high defense at the cost of having really low resistance. And Shannon does have a bit more HP, but at the end of the day, Male Kris's balanced bulk is going to be helping you a lot when it comes to tanking in something like Ether Raid. So there, Male Kris is definitely going to be proving to be much more useful. Especially by having that higher visible resistance, he can take less damage from area and effect special, so that's a big boon. And Shannon's defense can also help him in certain matchups, but a lot of times mage nukes are way more threatening. Shannon also has Imperial Astra as an exclusive special, which scales off based off his speed, and Male Kris cannot have anything like that. He can definitely run other 3-turn cooldown special, which become 2-turn cooldown because of his weapon, but definitely not something that can scale off his speed. But Shannon usually will not use this special when it comes to tanking, and he's a really good top tier tanking unit because of his high speed and the fact that he could utilize damage reduction skills. So Imperial Astra doesn't really become a factor when it comes to tanking because both of them want to run healing special. So I would say that Male Kris is a bit better than Shannon in my personal opinion when it comes to tanking. But still, Shannon is a good unit if you have invested into him. But this kind of thing is just really common in Sword Infantries where they have to face this kind of insane competition even if they are like top tier units already, like Shannon. Male Kris unfortunately doesn't have any kind of premium slotted skill. He just has HP speed 2, and he also has Spurn just like Female Kris, and he also has Joint Drive Attack. He has got the same super boons, so you always want to go with speed super boon if you could, and if you get lucky, that's gonna be the most valuable to you with the Spurn skill. And his builds are gonna be pretty similar to Female Kris. You know, both of them have the same stat spread, same role, so you could run the same skills basically. But here's the thing where Male Kris is better, and that is in the Astra season. He has weapon strangle advantage on Thracier, and he is so fast that Thracier cannot double him, and he also ignores any kind of penalties, so that's really useful. And Astra season in general is a harder season, especially to tank, because it's really hard to tank against these kinds of mage nukes. But Male Kris could definitely do that with the damage reduction skill and with the fact that he doesn't care about any kind of penalties. So that's a big boon, and you don't really have to run any kind of support unit that can soak chilled skills. So you could definitely run him in the Astra season compared to Female Kris, who would have a disadvantageous matchup against Thraciers. Julian is an infantry colorless stagger unit, and this boy packs a punch. He has got 38 base attack with a super boon in attack, which is absolutely insane, and also has 38 base speed. So this kind of offensive stat spread is absolutely top tier, and he also has really good defense, but unfortunately has really low resistance, which could be problematic against a lot of the magical units. He comes with Caltroop Dagger, which is basically does Uchiwa, but with a different name and in the permanent summoning pool. So this does have Hardy Bearing built into it, which means that you don't want to run skills like Vantage or Desperation on him if you're using this weapon, because Hardy Bearing will just cancel out those skills too. And this weapon is effective on cavalry units. Cavalry units for the most part aren't really the hardest one to take out, but some of them, like Eliwood, with Blazing Durandal at high investment, and stuff like Legendary Selif could be a problem at times, so this could help you right there. He has really good fodder in Close Fall and low attack speed, so you could inherit both of those skills at the same time, or you could inherit Close Fall and the Caltroop Dagger, which is also pretty nice in Ether Raid's defense, where you could check Vantage units. So his main comparison I guess we could do is to Soth. So at Unmerge with plus attack IV, which is a super boon, he can pretty much match the offensive performance of a fully plus 10 merge Soth. Now granted, Soth does have more magical bulk, and he can use 10 Dragon Flowers compared to 5 Dragon Flowers which Julian can use, and also Peshkats is in due for a Weapon Refine. It's just kinda funny to see how Unmerged Julian can match offensive performance of a plus 10 merge Soth, who's one of the strongest dagger units in the game. So even at Unmerged, Julian is a beast. So as for his attack stat, you could definitely try to go with the plus attack IV. That can help you a lot with a lot of the Vantage builds and stuff like that. And the fact that he already comes with Close Foil definitely makes a lot of his sets very cheap to build, and lull attack also gives you more flexibility. So you could run some of these budget builds. You could just run Speed Rest solo because it can improve his resistance, and you could also run Barb Shuriken with Glimmer, or you could run Starfish Plus because Summer Lind is present in the Ephemera pool as of making this video, and that dagger does have Desperation, so you could use lull attack speed on his slot B while also having the Desperation effect, which is really good. You could also run Barb Shuriken Fury Desperation, the classic build, and because of his high attack stat, you could of course use an AoE spam build with Special Spiral. And just like Soul of Zofia, you could have the Desperation and Null follow-up effect by running Starfish Plus. Once again, it is present in the Ephemera pool, so that could be done. And he can also be used in Ether Raids because he's a very powerful unit. So you could run Ouch Pouch Miracle build if you don't have access to Broadly Fan. I personally use this set on my plus 10 Soth, and it does work really well in Ether Raids. And right now, Summer Lilina's banner is going on, so if you could get Broadly Fan, that is absolutely gonna be the best dagger for him with his high attack stat. His damage output is gonna be absolutely ridiculous, so you don't really need any kind of special, to be honest. You could just run Heavy Blade Miracle for Ether Raids, and that's gonna be more than enough. Again, because of having a Hardy Bearing Dagger and having a pretty good attack stat, you could run him in Ether Raids defense, where he could have a pre-charged Ignis, which is gonna be doing mad damage with something like Sturdy Impact. And having a Hardy Bearing Dagger unit in your team is definitely really helpful, along with another Hardy Bearing user, so you could have double checks to Vantage, which is a pretty common strategy. Lena is an infantry healer, and we have received a lot of those in the recent times, it seems. Her stat spread isn't the most unique or the most impressive one. Her fodder is also not that good. She just has Defend Res 2, which is like a budget defensive skill at best, but still it's not really all that good. The one thing which she really excels at is absolutely dunking on our boy Reese. So the main problem with Reese is that he is a Grail unit. It takes you 2,700 Grails to plus and merge him, and Lena has a very similar stat line to him. And when you compare the max investment and the fact that she can have IVs, then you can just see that Lena can do a better job by utilizing stuff like Palm Staff, which Reese carries, and she's just gonna be a bit more flexible, and she will also not take you any kind of Grails to plus and merge. She's gonna be having a bit less attack and less HP, but that's totally worth it when you're faster and you don't require any kind of Grails to plus and merge. Another comparison to her is gonna be Emryn. Emryn, in my opinion, is the best free-to-play friendly 3-star to 4-star healer available in the summoning pool, who is easily mergeable. So Lena, comparing to her, is going to be losing in the speed department. The flexibility Emryn can have with the extra speed is always going to be valuable with stuff like Palm Staff, and the fact that she can deny more doubles, and with the speed creep that's been going on, it's a bit better to have more speed as always. However, Lena is going to be having more resistance, which makes her a better user of Ploy skill and also Sabotage skills. So Lena is basically going to be a bulkier yet slower version of Emryn. Both of these are pretty good options to invest into if you're looking for an infantry healer, but still I would say that Emryn is slightly better. So Lena does do the job of absolutely crushing Reese, who was a very recent staff unit, and she does have IVs, she does have a defense super boon, but in my opinion, speed is always going to be a bit better for you if you're investing heavily into her, and if you're not really heavily investing, then something like attack boon can always work for you at no merges. As for her builds, you could run her in Arena Assault. Gravity is a really top tier weapon in Arena Assault to just stop the aggressive movement of the units, and Savage Blow can help you chip away the HP of those bulky plus 10 units, and Wings of Mercy is a pretty nice utility skill, but you could also run Live to Serve. And another budget build for her is with Dual Ploy. She already comes with Attack Ploy, so you could easily run this. If you're going to be plus and merging her, then you could definitely run a build like this with Pain Plus and just a fully offensive build, and like I said, plus speed IV can definitely do you a lot of favors with a build like this. You could also run her with Palm Staff from Reese after she has dunked on him, and she can also devour Close Foil and lull attack speed from her lover, Julian, who's present on this banner, so she can make a pretty good use of this. As you can see, she could get pretty fast, pretty bulky with Palm Staff. So this is definitely a build you could go for. You could run something like Mystic Boost or even Joint Drive Attack to improve her attack. All of those are going to be options. And you could also make her into a bulky healer with Fortress Defense Res, which can allow her to use Sabotage attack even better. And if a Sabotage seal gets added later on, then it's going to be even better. And you could also use her in Ether Raid's defense as a restore trap unit because she is going to be pretty bulky, she can get fast, and Panic in my opinion is the best staff to use on Aether Raid's defense. Eremiya basically fills up the quota of disappointment, which we seem to have every month in this game. So she is basically a carbon copy of Emran. There's absolutely no reason to build up Eremiya and spend like 1700 grails to plus and merge her. And Emran is 3-star 4-star arena. She doesn't require grails and she can have IVs, so at max investment, Emran is still going to be having 1 extra speed point than Eremiya, and as you can see, their performance is really similar. So unless you're a big fan of ARCHANEA games, and if you really like Eremiya and her assassins, then I don't really see any kind of reason to build her up over Emran, who's just available at a lower cost and also has more flexibility with IVs and stuff. So yeah, that's really unfortunate because she brings absolutely nothing new to the table. We already have Emran. Maybe if Emran was not present, she could be an option, but then again, it would require you grails to plus and merge a healer of all things, and a healer who doesn't have an exclusive weapon. I feel like having an exclusive weapon would have definitely made her stand out compared to the competition that is seeming to be pretty fierce in the infantry staff units. And even on this banner itself, we do have Lena, as you just saw. So it's really unfortunate with Eremiya, and he also has not very good skills. Like Attack Rest Push was already present on Brady, and Distant Guard is present on ARCHANEA, but Distant Guard on Eremiya is actually 5-star locked, so you would have to upgrade her. So just a very disappointing unit overall because of her like availability with grails and also the skills which she brings, which is absolutely not new to the table whatsoever. Still, if you want to build her up and if you're a big fan, then you could start by some of these budget builds. Just run Attack Rest Push, have Live to Serve, or you could just give her Pain Plus and make her a utility unit for Arena Assault. And these kinds of builds are pretty similar for a lot of these healers. They don't really have too many really good options, and their options are pretty straightforward. And just like Lena, you could also run Palm Staff on her to make her bulky, or you could sacrifice a Bramimond and basically have a build with Attack Defense Push, or you could use her as a Restore Trap unit in Aether Raid's defense. But overall, it's a bit disappointing to me that Eremiya, who's the leader of assassins, doesn't get an exclusive staff, and she just gets shafted just like that despite having such a high cost to plus and merge. And overall, I would say that this banner is definitely one of the more passable banners, and Choose Your Legends 4 is coming out next month, and we also have a new Mythic unit coming out at the end of this month. You should definitely be on lookout for that. And if you're gonna be spending orbs on this banner, and if you're gonna be spending 135 orbs to get 40 summons along with the Forging Bond tickets, then you could definitely get a guaranteed 5-star unit. And for that, in my opinion, Female Kris or Julian are the best option. It depends on you which kind of skill you need. If you have some kind of very fast unit who requires a damage reduction skill, then you should definitely go for Female Kris, where you could inherit Fury 4 and Spurn at the same time. And just as a unit herself, like Female Kris is definitely quite more unique than Male Kris. And Julian does have close foil and also lull attack speed, which is gonna be really good for inheritance at the same time with it. So both of these are really good fodder units, and they can be pretty strong in their own right if you do decide to use them. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their support. If you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously, and click on the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as disappointing as Eremiya. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.